Hey, yo, it's me, yo, and today I'll be telling you the whole Endgame story, as in like the whole movie. So if you don't want to see spoilers, click off this video. If you're not gonna see, if you want to see the movie but you can't, but you want to know what happens, continue watching. If you already watched the movie, doesn't really matter. Just watch the video. Okay, so first we start off with a scene with Hawkeye, I think, and he's with his family. He's playing with his daughter. He's playing with his daughter, the bow and arrow, and then he turns around to see his other parts of his family because they're like getting ready for lunch or something, and then he turns around and finds his daughter to bring her to lunch, and she's gone. And he looks around the tree that they were shooting at, and then he turns around, and the rest of his family, it's gone. He's gone. They're gone. And as it zooms out, he's like looking for Sally, calling their names and stuff while running around. And then it cuts to a thing. I'm pretty sure it was like Iron Man ship, like a ship. It was Iron Man with Nebula, and Iron Man was like recording himself because he was like probably about to die because he was like running out of oxygen and stuff, and you had to like live. And they show a montage of Nebula and Iron Man just hanging out, using oxygen supplies, and then he goes to sleep. He lays his head down, and he closes his eyes and he looks down as he's sitting down, and then we see a bright light, and it's flying towards the ship, and then it's Captain Marvel. She comes out and she saves them. She brings them to Earth, and then they like Tony Stark slash Iron Man. He's like, oh, thank goodness I'm here. They go inside the HQ, and you're like literally like like Tony Stark is like mad because he's like put like he's talking about past things Captain America said. So he's like, and then he just decides to pull his chest piece out, and he like gives it to Captain America. He pats it, and as he puts it in his hand, and then he falls to the ground because he pulls it straight out of his chest. You're like, wow. He didn't die though, but he was going to be out for the rest of the day. So the rest of the Avengers were like, let's go find Thanos, and then so they locate Thanos by using a power source because he snapped again to get rid of the Infinity Stones. So they find Thanos. So they go to Thanos where he was got, and they show like Thanos getting some fruits, I guess, and he just gets it all, and then he like take and then he like goes inside, he starts cooking, and then he looks up like something's about to happen, like he knows something's about to happen, and then you see Captain Marvel straight up fly through the wall and punch him in the face while flying, and then she turns around and grabs Thanos. Then all the Avengers come out, and Thor comes down last, and he slices their head off, and then Captain America and Black Widow come in, and I'm like, okay, where's the Infinity Stones? And he said, I used the stones to destroy the stones. And I'm like, what? You used them 2 days ago. They must be here. I had to tear this place down, everyone's saying. And then he's like, and they're like, well, someone says, they must be dying. He must be lying. But Nebula's like, no, my dad is not a liar. And he says, Thanos like, oh, thank goodness, thank you. And then Thor just comes out of nowhere and slices it off. And then he's like, Rocket's like, what did you do? And then he says, in the coolest way possible, I went for the head. And then he walks off into the light, and then time jump to 5 years later. 5 years later, literally, dude. This was in 2019. This is 2018. This is to see what's happening. So that means it was 2023. Yeah. And then like we see like we go to the HQ, I think, and they're like it's only like Captain America. It's only like so like the all Avengers had left the HQ and to do missions, and they were like talking on like a hologram, and then Black Widow was there, and she had long red hair, again, um, and then they stopped doing the chat with the holograms, and they start talking about like And then Captain America comes. He's like, we should just get over this happening. But they like, but they're like, well, I want to fix it. So then we cut away to a scene, I think, and we go to I think we go to a place where it was like a van and then a rat. He presses the button. He presses a button in a van, and then Ant-Man comes out of it. His suit is like smoking a lot and doing that, and then he comes out of and then he like he gets out of there, and then he goes where he goes to the place, and we see this, and he asks kid what happened to this place, and the kid just keeps riding his bike. He follows the kid into like a place, and it was like a place. It was like a place of names that of people who just disappeared, and then like instead at the top of the pole, they just disappeared. They just disappeared, and had like so many poles. And Scott Lang, Ant-Man, he was on one of those lists. So he goes back to I think his daughter. I think his daughter. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, cause I don't remember Ant-Man because I watched it a long time ago. And then he's like he greets them and they hug, and I think Scott and then like he comes, and he's like he says he comes to the Avengers HQ, and he's like, wait, I know how to undo the snapping, but like maybe like since it like in the quantum realm where that's where he was stuck in, it was only 5 hours that he was in there, but it was actually 5 years. So maybe they can make a time machine. So I can understand it. You're gonna have to watch Endgame. I mean, I'm here to explain Endgame to you, but I'm not going into straight details. I'm just here to like revise it, yeah, revisit it, and then he goes, he and then they go to Tony Stark to see if he can make the time machine, and he's like, no, no, I'm not doing that, no, no. So then they go to someone else who has brains, the Hulk, and now he's Professor Hulk, of Bruce Banner and the Hulk transformed into one. So yeah, he's really powerful, and they're talking, and time machine. So while and then later we see Tony. He's like Tony Stark. He's making a time machine. Literally thinking about making a time machine. He makes the schematics for the time machine, and he figures out time travel. Tells his wife because they got married between those 5 year jump gap. They already had a child between those 5 year jump gap, and then after that, we see a scene where they're testing out the time machine that Professor Hulk made, and then they go and then Ant-Man goes into it, and then he goes to it, and he comes out an old man, and then a baby. Then he comes back as normal. And then I'm saying then a lot. I just realized it. Then actually, what was it? I'm trying to remember. Um, yeah, they knew how to do it, so and then they needed to find a team, and so they recruit everyone else who was gone. They went to find Hawkeye. Hawkeye was just killing all these bad people who were doing bad things, and it's like, and then they get him, and then he goes. Then they go to Thor to get him, and he's like fat because he's like depressed and drinking a lot of beer. He has like alcohol in his veins, flowing through his veins, and then they come and then like Hawkeye got like so cool because he's dark now. He's like very dark now, not like skin tone, like dark, like depressed and stuff. That his whole family's gone after this happening, and then they test another time trial thing, and Hawkeye goes back to his family. He runs up to the door. He hears them fighting, and he calls his daughter's name, and then and the daughter's comes down like, yes, Dad, but then he went back, and he was about to fall down. He was like a fall down because he saw his child. He almost saw his family again. So then like, okay, this could work. And then Tony Stark comes to the door, and he's like, hey guys. So he decides to give Captain America another shield that he made, and then he's like, I figured out time travel. Ooh, cool. And so they all team up. They got Thor. They got I don't have to go through the names, and they got Nebula and all that stuff. But they don't have Captain Marvel though. So yeah. So you have War Machine and all that stuff. And then they used the time machine. They built a time machine with Rocket, Professor Hulk, and Iron Man. And then they like walk really cool up to the time machine. It's like a platform that sends you back in time. They're wearing these cool suits. They go get. Oh yeah, the plan was to figure out where the Infinity Stones were, so they can go back in time, collect the stones, come back in time, come back to their time, and then make a gauntlet, and then snap their fingers to reverse this. Since Thanos is dead, he's like, who's gonna stop us? Well, they went in a lot of problems to get this stuff. So first they figure out where where the stones are, and they realize that three were all in New York at the same time, and all in 2012. Then there's the Power Stone in 2014, and then there's like the Reality Stone in 2013. 2013, I think, yeah, 2013, or was 2013 was the yeah, 2000, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2013, 2012, and 2014. Yeah. So they all go to those dates and all the places. Wait. Yeah, the two stones were in 2014. One stone was in 2013 or 2015 or 2011. I'm pretty sure that was the Reality Stone. So the Mind Stone, the the Space Stone, and the pretty sure there was another one. The Time Stone were all in New York at the same time, and then the Power Stone and the Soul Stone were all in two separate places. But it was two planets, and they're like really close to each other. So they decided to get like a team to go to that place, and then had another place to and another two people to go find the Reality Stone, and someone else's body to distract it from them, get the stone, and then they go to New York, the battle of New York, and then Doctor Strange place in 2014 to get the stuff. So they all do it. Thor, Captain America, and Ant-Man. No, the Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man, and Captain America. They all went to the 2012 one. Then Thor and Rocket, they both went to get the Reality Stone in 2013 slash 2011 slash 2015. I'm not sure which one it was, but they had to get it from extracting something from someone. In Thor's kingdom. Oh, it was Thor's two. It was Thor two. So it was 2013. Yeah, 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 yeah. And then War Machine, Nebula, and I think two other people, Black Widow and Hawkeye, all went to get the Soul Stone and the Power Stone. So so Iron Man literally goes with Ant-Man to get the Space Stone, the Space Stone. So they go ahead and they go like they try to. So past Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, went with Thor to get the Space Stone. They had the Space Stone, and then Ant-Man, being really small, he went ahead into Iron Man's like chest piece, and he pulled out a key component. It wouldn't kill Tony Stark, but it would give him a heart. It would give him like some kind of shock, and he falls to the ground, and then Ant-Man, since he's really small and no one would notice him if he kicked the briefcase away, he kicks it, and it goes flying, Tony Stark, and Tony Stark takes it and flies away. But then the Hulk, he was angry because he had to take the stairs instead of the elevator to go downstairs and get the scepter. So he decides to kick it. So he decides to break open the door for the stairs, literally knocking the briefcase out of Tony Stark's hand, the future Tony Stark's hand, and and Tony Stark went flying, and then Professor Hulk, he was like he was going with the ancient one about like why did she get the time stone, and then Captain America, he gets the Mind Stone from Hydra, and he fights himself to get the thing, because since he looked exactly like past one, he thought since Loki was using his powers, so they fought. He guess he Virtue Captain America wins. He flies away. He gets away. Flies away? No, he gets away, and then they all meet up. So they realize that Loki escaped since Loki was going with them. He was like tied up. He took the space stone and he went away. He took the space stone and he teleported away, and then so Professor Hulk finally gets the time stone from the ancient one, and then he has it, and then since they don't have the space stone anymore, they have to go even further back in time to when they had it in the facility in Captain America, the first soldier, the first Avenger. They had to go get it in the files. So he gets it. Tony Stark finds his dad and makes him a whole new like fake name, and then he runs, and then he gets away. He goes back in time with Captain America, and they all went back in the time, and then we go into, and then Rocket and Thor and Thor 2. They had to go on the day where Thor's mother died, and he started getting emotional about it. So then he runs away, and then Raju's like, oh, I gotta do this by myself now. So he gets it. Thor sees his mom and talks to her, and he gets to eat there, and they both go back in time. And now we go for the Power Stone. Nebula and War Machine went for the Power Stone, and what was it? Hawkeye and Black Widow went for the Soul Stone. So what they do is Nebula and War Machine, they both get it. But when they were supposed to go back, Nebula didn't go back, and she ended up getting like she ended up getting like really hurt in her head, because Thanos saw that Nebula had the same hardware programming as future Nebula, as evil past Nebula. So they took her away and threw her away, and then pretended to be new Nebula and had the orange plate on her, and she went forward in time with War Machine. Then, for all you Black Widow fans, I'm so sorry about this, but in order to get the Soul Stone, you need a sacrifice. Hawkeye wanted to be a sacrifice. Black Widow wanted to be a sacrifice. I was literally about to watch Hawkeye die, because he totally deserved it. He totally deserved it after not dying and watching Quicksilver die in Age of Ultron. But of course, no. And Black Widow was the one who had to die. She jumps off, dies. Hawkeye gets the Soul Stone. They go back. They all meet up. Past Nebula didn't try to kill anyone. She just played like she was the normal one. And they had all the stones. Tony makes a new gauntlet. He snaps. And then they're like all. Hulk was like, oh my god, he's so angry because Black Widow died. And if you watch Age of Ultron, you would know why he is mad. And then Thor wants to be the one to snap his fingers, but he's like, no, the Hulk should be it, because most of the radiation that happens from the gauntlet when you snap is mostly gamma, and the Hulk and stuff. So the Hulk snaps, and then past Nebula wasn't there, and they didn't realize that, but then he brings, and then they make Thanos' ship small, and Thanos comes he destroys the base, and he makes like, and I don't know what happened. They just started flooding. I had to use the washroom during that time, so I didn't see what happened. Then like they all like starting to fight in the ruins of where the thing was. Thanos has a ship, and like they start fighting Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man. Iron Man couldn't do it. He got knocked out. He got literally knocked out by Thanos. Thor literally tried to use the storm. I don't even know how this is possible, but Thanos literally took Stormbreaker and almost chopped off Thor's hammer. But then he gets hit by Mjolnir. Also, oh yeah, about that Mjolnir. They Thor took it when he was about to leave for when he got the ether from his past, because the thing wasn't destroyed yet. So he takes it and he goes back in time. He goes back before in time, and now that's why he has Mjolnir. But he gets hit by it. But Thor didn't do anything. And then it goes flying back, and Captain America literally takes it. And it's like, whoa. And then Thor's like, I knew it. And then and then Thanos takes him up and throws him away. And literally, this is like one of the best scenes of the whole movie. Captain America comes up, he hits Thanos in the face with an uppercut with the hammer, and then he starts comboing him with Thor's Mjolnir and Captain America's shield, with the shield, and then he just starts comboing him. But then Thanos gets the upper hand. He breaks Captain America's full shield and basically throws him away, and then he calls on his army. But then out of nowhere, you saw this whole thing with Thanos' army and Thanos, and it was just Captain America. But then you see these orange portals come out of nowhere, and I'm pretty sure every single person who was snapped away just comes back with Doctor Strange's army, the Wakandan army, Black Panther, Spider-Man, all of the Guardians of the Galaxy were snapped away, and Pepper Potts, she came in one of Iron Man's suits. Yeah. She came too. The girl from Thor's Ragnarok, that girl. She came too on a flying horse. Ant-Man came. He came. There were two, and Evil Nebula and Gamora were trying to get the gauntlet, but no, Thanos' army was trying to get the gauntlet, but they didn't get their hands on it, and then Hawkeye had it, but he escapes, and then they see this thing where the real future Nebula, past Evil Nebula, and past Gamora from 2014, they all like talking, and then bad past Nebula shoots future Nebula. Wow, this is actually like. Oh my god, what am I saying? And then they all fight. And Cap says his famous like Avengers Assemble, and then they all fight. Boom, boom, bang. Things are exploding, things are dying. And then Scarlet Witch comes out, and she's like, you took everything from me, and she starts killing Thanos with her powers, but then Thanos like rain bullets from below, and then literally takes down bullets from below from his ship. And then stopping Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, from killing Thanos, and then later, after shooting down from stuff, Tony they started playing keep away from the gauntlet, so they could take the Infinity Stones back in time with the brown van from from Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's what they used to do the stuff in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I didn't fully watch it on Netflix, but it's okay, fine. And then they're trying to fix it, but then Thanos blows it up, and then they have no way. And bullets are still raining down from Thanos' ship, but then they start aiming up, and no one knows what's happening. Why are they shooting up? But then they've noticed a heat signal coming from the sky, and you see a comet, and it's Captain Marvel. She blasts through Thanos' ship, and then like flies through it again, and continues flying through it, destroying it, and bringing it all the way down, exploding almost half of Thanos' army, and then and then and then Thanos comes up where the gauntlet is, and he almost gets it, but all the Avengers are doing everything with their power to try to stop Thanos from getting the gauntlet. Then Captain Marvel comes. She comes up and punches Thanos, and then she starts hitting him, and then like he's holding him. Thanos tries to headbutt her, but she just absorbs the pain, and then he's about to lose the gauntlet from her, and then he takes the power stone from the gauntlet and punches her with the power of the power stone, and then he puts it back on, and he said, and then Doctor Strange puts up his hand, and it has a 1, and then Tony Stark / Iron Man knew that this is the version that they win. So Iron Man flies up, he grabs the gauntlet, Thanos quickly hits him away, but then he says, "I am inevitable," and snaps his fingers. But nothing happens. He's like, what happened? He turns the gauntlet around. There's nothing on it. It's just a piece of metal attached to your hand. And then, out of nowhere, Iron Man puts his hands up, and then you see his armor transforming into like a mini Infinity Gauntlet for his hand, and he says, "I am Iron Man," and he snaps his fingers. And then Thanos' army just disappears and fades into thin air, and then Thanos, the Thick Master, he just fades away. And then Tony Stark, he falls down to the ground. His face is literally burnt from all that thing from Thanos' army. And then his wife is like, "You can finally rest now." And then he dies. So yeah, it kind of sucks that Tony Stark, one of the best heroes, who almost defeated Thanos, what was it called? If it wasn't for the Power Stone, he would have actually won that battle. But it was the first stone that Thanos actually got. So yeah, but yes, he died. Yes, but he dies. We see his funeral, and almost every Avenger who was at that battle was there. Captain Marvel was the last one in line, and then his tombstone, they put it on a lake that was next to Iron Man's house, and it said, "Proof that Tony Stark has a heart," and it flew adrift into the sea, where that bench was thrown into. Yeah. And finally, that was the end. There was no end screen. There was no end credits scene. I watched the entire end credits, but since it's the last movie, that's why it's called Endgame. Yeah, there was nothing else. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next Friday. Wow, that was a lot. Man, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I mean, seriously, just like the video and subscribe. I hope you do like this video, and I hope you enjoyed. It's like 20 plus minutes, I know. It's a long video. Bye. Like and subscribe.